Hi everyone and welcome to another week of Polyglots of the Week. My name is Ed, if you didn't know, and today is Monday. Again, no German video, I apologize. It's just, I've been moving in. Obviously my books are here, which is nice. Although I had to build like 4 bookshelves. We have this tall one, 2 medium-sized ones, and then a small one for like DVDs and CDs and things. But I think I'm more or less set. Anyways, the theme for this week is music. Not so much music like, oh hey, I like this music in this language, which I think is a theme we did before, probably around sometime this time last year, or sometime in the fall of last year, I'm pretty sure. But today, or this week, we're going to be talking about, the role of music in language learning and how it can help and how it can aid. In the classroom, personally, I've used songs, you make people listen and then they fill in the blank, and it's really good pronunciation practice to hear people that are native speakers sing or use in like that language. Although I will say sometimes languages in music sound a little bit different than they do in in actual speech. So it really depends on the genre and what kind of thing you're going for. In my own learning, I use music a lot for sort of background music, like while I'm actually studying. But I use it very much in a passive role, and maybe this is just me and how I learn, or maybe this is like scientifically provable, but this is how I view it, and it helps, I think. So I always tell people, just listen to music, obviously not that by itself, but it helps in a lot of ways. One way that it helps is, I think it helps constantly sort of hearing the language in the way it should be pronounced, because even if you read decently, and you can replicate, the pronunciation that seems like it should be accurate based off of the orthography or something, it's not always quite the same. Even, like right now, I have a session music playing in the background right now, and some of their vowels are very different from what I'm used to saying, myself. Especially though, since I read Cyrillic and everything, it's even harder because, you see a C and you have S, and then you're like, no, this is actually sh in a session, and all sorts of things. So, it helps as far as being able to create almost like a mental or like a conscious or subconscious sort of palette that then you can replicate in real life and actually use and have those sounds in your head. How this works would then, like, long term would be like if you learn a word later or you see it in writing, and you're learning this vocabulary word, you might actually know how to pronounce it because you've heard somebody say in the song once. It also helps a lot with concepts of syntax and word endings and things like that. When do words really end? What is natural syntax? When you're just hearing it all the time, things start to feel right to an extent. And it long term, one of the things you'll see is, I'm talking long term as in months and months or possibly even years, you'll notice that you start to understand it. You start to grab words and you realize what's happening. Which is why a lot of times, unless I really, really, really want to know the topic of the song or why it's so popular or something like that, I actually don't look up lyrics, and I sort of make myself listen to it and listen to it and listen to it and figure out what is being said, where are the word breaks, what are these actual words, and it'll come in time. Even with French, as well as I speak French, I listen to a song by Stromae, and I don't know all the words, obviously, and it'll take time for you to realize one. An example is, in his song Tous les mêmes, he has a line that says, Je sais que tu mens, il n'y a, what is it? Je sais que tu mens, il n'y a que quatre mots qui est éternel. And I just was always stuck on this line. I'm like, what the hell is he saying? What the hell is he saying? Completely lost. And then one day, like, I heard it and I was like, did you say Kate Moss? Like the actress Kate Moss? And I was like, il n'y a que Kate Moss qui est. Oh my gosh, that makes complete sense. And it sort of just clicked. The first time I ever had it happen was I used to listen to Cheyenne, which is this really sort of cheesy love song type artist from South America, or maybe from Mexico, I don't remember. He was recommended to me, so I started listening to him, and I listened to him for literally like years. From the moment I started learning Spanish, I listened to him for a couple years, and maybe 2 years into Spanish, yes, I was with Miss Leach, so that's sophomore year of high school. I'm listening to him one night and I realized I know what he's saying. I know this entire song. I know every single word and I know what it means. and it doesn't seem like a big accomplishment, but it's definitely a way to almost gauge progress over time. Again, this is very passive. Obviously, you still need to study, you still need to do things, but I think it helps a lot with, you know, you go to produce a sentence and you hear, oh, that doesn't sound right. Or you go to produce a word and you go, oh, that doesn't sound quite right. Because you have heard it subconsciously. Somewhere in your mind, you know what that word sounds like. You know what this syntax or the structure should sound like. And so as you go to produce language on your own, it'll start to sort of reflect. Although that's the other thing, is that your pronunciation may reflect a specific dialect if that's the person you're listening to, or the way they pronounce things, or you know, stuff like that. So of course, be careful with who you choose. Like if you're doing Arabic and you want to learn this dialect, listen to music in that dialect maybe. You know, so that way you're sort of matching out. But otherwise, yeah, I use it mostly passively, but it works. I mean, I can't say don't do it, and I always recommend to students do it. You know, even from first year Spanish, first year French, first year Arabic or anything, you know, first day class, I go, okay, here are artists I listen to, here are different types of genres, let me introduce you to popular artists, to, you know, music that you may enjoy, because if you can work it into your everyday life like that, you are going to be getting constant practice, so it's really not a bad deal. So that's how I personally use music in my language learning, and that's how I recommend it to my students and everything. We'll see what the rest of the Polyglots have for this week, and I start classes later this week on Thursday. So next Monday, I will give you a little mini tour of all my books. I have a bookshelf there, I have this one here, I have two in the living room, and I'll talk a little bit about, I'll only have had probably 2 or 3 days of classes. I will have had all of my classes but one, so I'll be able to talk about my German class, my Russian class, my Persian class. I won't be able to talk about my linguistics class, but that won't be the end of the world. So yes, like, comment, subscribe, and stay tuned to see how we use music for the rest of the week. Bye.